guys, it's Morgan Lynzi. Welcome back to the Well Damn podcast. Today I'm here with the one and the only Shaman Durek, the real Shaman Durek, which I can't believe is here live in the flesh. Let me just, I feel like it's taken so long. I've been like emailing for half a year. I'm like, can he please see me? Can he come and sit down with me?
Oh, that's so kind.
And somehow the stars have aligned and here you are. And it's already been such a magical experience. We were supposed to interview a few hours ago, but instead we've just gone on a journey, a shamanic journey with you and another crew member. Shout out to Spencer. And wow, I don't even know how to put it into words what the experience was like. This is a powerful guy, and there's a reason why so many trusted public figures and celebrities go to see him. If you want to dive deep, this is the guy.
Oh, we're deep diving.
If you want to dive deep, this is him. So, Shaman Durek.
Yes.
Your name is Shaman Durek, not just Durek. Please explain what a shaman is, because there's a lot of people around here who are claiming to be shamans, who are going to shaman school, but I have a feeling that it's just not how it works. Like, I feel like that's like walking around saying you're a doctor and you didn't go to medical school.
Right. I mean, basically, a shaman is someone who can intercede between the underworld and the above world, meaning the realm of light and the realm of dark. And on the person's behalf, or for a community or for a tribe, we also exude different powers that we can demonstrate and that we can use and that we can teach other people. And we can intercede with any form of spirit. So be it a tree spirit, a spirit from the other side, your spirit, anything, we have the access to do that. So we are really the ambassadors of the spirit world.
How did you become an ambassador of the spirit world? You started at a really young age. Like, did a ghost tap you on the shoulder and be like, you are the one, child? How did this work?
So basically, it runs back in my bloodline in my family. On my grandmother's side, she was a medicine woman in Ghana and West Africa. And then it went from lineage before her and then over to me. And then I started exuding the powers when I was about like 5 years old. And there's certain gifts that you get. And I started exuding more than 5 of those gifts. And when you exude more than 5, that means that you are what is being said to be in the family, the next line of shamans.
So what were those gifts? Were you like levitating children off the playground? What was happening?
No, so one of the gifts was the ability to speak in tongues and the ability to see spirits, the ability to call your ancestors' names without ever meeting them.
Wow.
And the ability to sense people's pain and the ability to listen to spirit guide you without you having a reason for. So like, for instance, like once my mom took me to the dentist and she was like waiting for me to put my hand in the candy box that the dentist gives you at the end, and I had already left the place. And I went down the 3 blocks and like found this woman sitting on a bench and whispered in her ear all her problems and like what needed to happen as a little boy. Wow. And my mom freaked out. She was looking for me, and finally she found me, and the woman was like, he's changed my life, your daughter, because I had long hair. And she's like, oh, your daughter. My mom's like, no, he's not a girl, he's a boy. And she's like,
I know he's beautiful, but.
Basically, my mom, was like, he's got the power of the ability to follow the journey. Wow. And in shamanism, when spirit tells us, like, if I'm being told I need to go to Israel and say there's a war happening, I don't question it, I go. If I'm being told to go to Turkey and there's problems and things happening in the country, I go. I don't have this, when spirit talks to me, I listen, I do it. One time I was stranded in Italy, in Sardinia, on the side of Porto Rotondo, and I had no place to sleep. I had left my wallet back in my place where I was staying in Porto Cervo, and I was like, I have no money, I have no nothing, and I was working with this prince, and I thought, oh, he'll give me money to get back to the other side of the island, but he was so prince, he was like, I don't pay for these things. And I was like, okay, whatever. And so I like left. I didn't know what to do. I was like, because I was so young at the time. Yeah. So I was like, oh, wow, okay, the prince doesn't pay. I guess I'm not going to get money from this.
I don't buy gifts. I get them gifted to me.
Yeah, basically. So I was on this speech and I just said, okay, spirits, what do you want me to do? They said, go to the center of town, look for a place that has a yellow awning, sit in the chair and wait, and we'll send someone for you. When you are a shaman, you don't question what spirit tells you. Yeah. You just do it. And so I did. I went to the center of town, even though one side of me, the skeptic side, because I was still in my training, was like, you're crazy, you're gonna freeze, you have no place to sleep, you have no money, you need to ask for help. But I was like, you know what? This is who I am. I gotta listen to spirit. So I went, sat down on the table, and I found the yellow awning. It was this cafe. This woman comes, sits next to me. She looks over at me. She's like, why are you sitting here? I was like, okay, you might think this is a little crazy, but the spirits told me to come here. And she goes, ekwa lakwa. She's like, the spirits told me I'm an artist. I was in my painting. I was painting. And the spirits told me that I have to help someone to go to the center of town and look and wait at this place with a yellow awning. So here you are. Come with me. And so, you get to this place where you're just like, I don't really listen too much to what humans say, because what humans say is like this small, and what spirit says is like this big.
Yeah. Me either, but I don't think I listen to either very well. So in your training in those like first years where you're like, okay, I'm obviously meant to be a shaman, what were some of the uncomfortable or awkward moments when you didn't listen to spirit? Like, how did those turn out?
I mean, I was rebellious from the very beginning, and I wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm okay to be a shaman. I was a little kid. I didn't know what it meant.
Yeah.
All I knew was that I was developing powers very quickly, and I couldn't understand why kids in kindergarten and in my elementary school didn't have the same ability. I thought everyone did. Yeah. And my mom's like, you can't use your powers. Like, it's gonna be different for you, and and I was getting told by my dad too. He's like, I grew up with this. Like, don't go to school and make yourself an outcast right away. Like, just be normal, right into kindergarten, I'm playing on the ground in the tan bark in Foster City with this little girl, and I grab her hands, and all of a sudden this flash hits me, and I see her hair falling out, and she's coughing up blood. I just start screaming on the top of my lungs. I couldn't stop screaming. Like, I was just like, it was like the most horrific thing I've ever seen. The teacher comes out, Miss Serena, she grabs me, she brings me to the principal's office, and they're like, what's going on? They call my dad, he comes in, he looks at me with this disapproving look, and
I told you, what did you do?
And they're like, what happened? And I was like, she's dying. And then the parents came in and was like, our daughter has leukemia.
Wow.
And I was like, she's dying. And I think at that point, my dad got really uncomfortable and was like, you really need to put a lid on it, because I want you to have a normal life.
Yeah.
So the rebellious part of me was more because I didn't feel like it was comfortable, because my dad wasn't comfortable with it. And then also having, the training and the teachings and things wasn't things that my friends were doing. My friends were like, skating and biking and like, being kids and stuff. And I'm like at home practicing how to hold energy and how to let spirits into my body and be able to know the difference between what kind of spirit is coming in, and finding the elocutions of sounds, and like learning how to read body language, and all these different things that you just aren't doing when you're a kid. It was like being in Harry Potter, but with the rest of being in the world of muggles, and so it was like I felt for myself alone, very alone.
Definitely. I mean, that description of what you were doing as a kid sounds like a typical Saturday night for the average LA person. At this point, they're like, I'm going to shaman school, I'm playing with crystals and taking an astral projection class. So it's interesting to see how things have shifted so much. But going back to your experience growing up and having that disconnect with your dad obviously knowing the power of these gifts, what was it like still wanting to pursue it and him kind of disapproving of it?
It was very hard for me. I was very emotional. I went into a lot of depression. My father really made it difficult, because growing up in that family, he was the one who helped my grandmother make the herbs and like set the people that, they had a wooden table, and he was the one who had to go out with the wood and heat up the stove and like, and make the herbs and cook the stuff and whatever and bring it in. And then my grandmother would take rags and wash people's bodies and doing all this stuff. And so she was his helper.
Yeah, he was like an accomplice to this experience, but he wants to block it out.
But he wanted to block it out, right? And so my dad, and in our family, there was like this great divide, and a lot of the family members decided to become Catholic and went into religion to push away the shamanism and find like, some sense of, what they think they found, especially my grandfather. And then Catholic went into Seventh-day Adventist. So then it became about like, vegetarianism and like, keeping the holy days and keeping Shabbat and honoring, all the different holy days that they have. So my dad was, really uncomfortable, because it was like he was torn between two worlds. Yeah. One part of him was like excited for me. The other part of him was like scared for me.
Yeah, it was like that dichotomy within himself was making him almost, it wasn't even you almost, it was just his own.
It was just dealing with him all the time. Like I remember I was, practicing things in the house and stuff, and like, being like, I've learned how to master my trancing. I've learned how to access another dimension and stuff like that. And my dad's like, I said I don't want that in this house, you know? And like, I'm like, Dad, you can't shut off what is naturally in me, you know? And my mom was very supportive in that sense. And then for me, you know, when you see a lot today, you see a lot of people saying they're shamans, like, oh, I'm a shaman, but I walk a dog. Or, you know, I'm a shaman, I work at the bank. Oh, I'm a shaman and I do crystal healings and Reiki. That's not shamanism, you know?
So my side hustle is a shaman.
Yeah, right. You got it.
I'm an actor, dancer, DJ, model, and a shaman.
Yeah, I mean, everyone calls himself a shaman now because it's being trend and it's accepted. But if someone really was to be a shaman, for them to actually take the journey of being a shaman, they probably wouldn't want to be a shaman because the journey is not an easy journey where you just wake up and you're banging drums and using sage sticks and blowing feathers over people's heads. You actually go through crazy amount of pain, torment, spirits coming at you from the underworld at night, testing to see if if you really think you have the nerve to come into this kind of power. So, you know, you get pulled into the underworld, you're trapped into different dimensions, and you got to learn how to get back to your body. I mean, and that's not even half of it. Think of everything that you were scared of as a kid, from the time that you were a kid where you saw a boogeyman or something under your bed or something of this nature. Take that and multiply it by 1,000. Okay, that's what it means to be a shaman. And you have to deal and you have to learn and you have to understand all of these things. And not just that, but then of course there's the body, understanding of the body, understanding how energy moves, understanding how magic works, understanding the hand movements and how to move these things and how to clear energies. And you know, it's not just let me put my hands over you. I mean, there's actually certain sounds and certain things we do to evoke, open up dimensions where we gain power from. And so a lot of shamans nowadays that you see are just like taking things from plants and calling themselves shamans.
Ooh, this candle. Let me put it on you, the energy. It's
exactly,
clearing.
Exactly. To me, it's a bit disheartening because I went through so much to be Shaman Durek.
Yeah.
And the reason why people say, well, then why don't you just call yourself Durek and not Shaman Durek? Well, shaman, the word shaman means one who has completed all of this. So it's actually a title of respect. Right? And so Shaman Durek is like, yes, I have the title as the shaman because I did my rites of passage. I passed all the 7 tests from each dimension where you have the underworld, the middle world, and the above world. You have 7 tests and you have 10 tests from spirits of things that you cannot see. I've shown that I can exude powers and demonstrate powers to the physical world that humans don't understand how it's happening without there being like, oh, this is Reiki and someone's just having a good night's sleep. To literally, I have people, I put, you know, powers into people and people are throwing up, people are shaking, people are crying pain that they've never had inside. You know, just the other day I worked with 2 people who were in a hospital. One had kidney stones, the other one had pancreatitis and they were having pancreas problems. The one with the kidney stones healed her kidney stones in 10 minutes. The one with the pancreas healed her. She just got discharged yesterday. They both sent me beautiful videos. Like, you know, when someone comes in and says, oh, I have psoriasis, it's not like, okay, I'm going to do Reiki on it. It's like, no, I got to go to the root core of that psoriasis.
7-Eleven light.
Yeah, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So the thing is, you need to understand physiology. You need to understand kinesiology. You need to understand pathology. You need to understand body electrics and mechanics, understanding how your body functions, your endocrine system, your sympathetic system, your igmatary system, how does the brain work, what kind of chemicals get released in the body. All of these things are a part of a shaman's training.
Yeah.
And then you have to understand environment. How does their environment pollutants affect the body? How do certain energies and lights and frequencies, sound tones, all of these things affect the human body that causes illness, that causes disruption, that causes mental problems, that causes blocking money, blocking love? Why do these things get blocked? How do you unblock them? Yeah. What if someone puts a curse on you? What is a curse? Yeah. You know, and like, you know, you always hear people go, oh, Wicca. And I'm like, come on, there's no such thing as a Wicca. Either you do magic and you do it, if you're coming from intention of the dark, you do dark magic. If you come from intention of light, you do light magic. Magic is magic. Yeah. But when people think magic, they think paganism, they think, you know, witches. Yeah. Priests do magic. They just call it something different. Yeah. The difference is, I'm not afraid to call it what it is, right? And the thing is, on our planet, we've been so caught up in this illusion of being so like diverted by like the media and like, you know, these feel-good feelings of like being liked and loved and like, oh, let me go into this thing, oh, what's on fleek, what's on trend, and all these things, right? You know, that we have lost touch with our natural self.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. I mean, it's almost like becoming a shaman is like alchemy almost of what fear is and transmuting it. Like there is no more fear when you become a shaman because you've dealt with light and dark and you know what the depths are. And it's also like being the ultimate doctor, scientists. It's everything.
Very much a scientist.
Yeah.
Always testing theories.
Yeah.
Someone comes to me and says, oh, there's, one time someone said to me, oh, I'm having this party. We have these white orbs that come out, these spirits that come out in shaman. We really want you to come to this event. We have this beautiful lake and we have dinner, we have buffet, and everyone's dressed to the nines.
They have the orb schedule?
Yeah, they have it scheduled because it shows up at this certain time.
Oh,
so this woman has created this, she's very wealthy and she created this whole thing with
around
food. All these wealthy people come, celebrities come. And I'm sitting there and, she's like, okay, it's time. The sun is going down. The orbs are going to come. And so I'm sitting there with her and her husband and they're like, look at shaman. Isn't it amazing? Look how beautiful that is. And I'm looking and I'm like,
is that a light reflection?
I'm like, so that tree over there? That tree gives off dander. That's like floats in the air, and then the sun, because the sunlight's going down, has a different cast from the sun that creates a reflective field off of the water, which creates a spherical energy around it. It looks like an energy, but it's really a reflection. But notice how the orbs just go down and they don't come back up, because that's dust particles.
Real life visual effects.
I'm out. I'm good.
I love that you are so real about all of this, and that you are a skeptic magician.
Beyond.
I love that.
Beyond, like if someone says to me, okay, one time a woman said to me, oh, I want to do a shamanic session on you because you're a shaman and I'm a shaman, so let me do some work on you. And I was at, I think I was at the Lightning in a Bottle or something, and she's like, I'm going to do some healing on you. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, I feel like those festivals are just like containers. Like I heard this one podcast person, they're like, oh, they're containers for all these intimate experiences and magical things. And I'm like, yes, but I also imagine it's a bunch of people like, I can do Reiki on you, and you're also dropping acid and a bunch of other things.
Yeah, it's too much. I'm a purist, so nothing goes in this body because I'm a spirit shaman. We can't pollute the body. So that's like one of the requirements that we follow. And it's a wonderful requirement because I don't need the need to alter my state when I am the altered state.
Yeah. No, I would love to dive into that because I love that you were talking about like smoking weed, for example, or just consuming any type of toxin into the body puts holes into your aura.
Yes.
And I'd never ever thought about that before. Can you explain that
Yeah,
for
so
us?
your body has an electromagnetic energy field that moves around it. And then through that electromagnetic energy field, you send off what are called synthesis waves. These synthesis waves connects with nature, connects with the sun, connects with the environment, connects with other people's energies. If you're an empathic person, you have very strong synthesis waves. Those waves are going out and pulling other people's emotions in. So you have two directional waves of the synthesis wave. It's input, output, input, output, input, output, right? So depending upon how open you are as a human being, you're sending a lot of output in, and depending on how open you are in receiving, you're having a lot of input come in. You have your aura, which is your bioelectric energy field that moves around your system that contains within the three levels of your being, both your physical subtle energy field, your emotional subtle energy field, your mental subtle energy field, and then your spiritual energy field. And the spiritual energy field basically is the consciousness that premates all knowledge, right? So every input you can imagine, every data, think of it like the most amazing computer chip that has limitless space of information on it. That would be your spiritual body, right?
Okay.
So
the supercomputer.
it's just, yeah, it's really smart. But the thing is, the mind hijacks you away from that. So the mind is programmed by this world and thinks it knows better than everything. So when it talks to the emotions, it tells the emotions like, hey, you know what? This is the information. And the emotions goes, that doesn't seem right because it seems very painful what you're telling me.
Mine is like that one iPhone
a great
update. It's like, ooh, but I don't need you. It's like, no, actually you do.
Yeah.
You're like, you just ruined everything.
Yeah, exactly. I call it the great hijacker. It's really, it hijacks until finally the emotions comes back and starts crying and saying what you created is horrible and I feel my life is horrible and whatever. And then the mind's like, I'm outie. Let me get drunk. Let me get some drugs. Let me get something to keep myself from listening to the emotions. I'm gonna drown you out, right? But if we go into the patterns of like how we're operating, when you take any kind of substance in your system, be it marijuana, alcohol, anything, your aura operates on a projection field. That means that any substance you bring in is an opposite projectionary field that creates a hole in your aura. That hole then gets bigger and bigger the more you do it. The more you do it, the hole gets bigger and bigger. Then what it means is we call it dampening your light field. So if your light field gets really dampened, then spirits who are in the underworld are the ones who are like parasitic spirits that are like living off of people's energy fields in order to sustain themselves, will see that you have holes, and they'll bring themselves into the hole and start sucking off of you.
Interesting.
The moment they start sucking off of you, they start finding people who are around you who hold the same energy of the spirit inside of them, and that person will come into your life and do things to you.
This is how toxic relationships work.
That's right. The more toxic you create the relationship, the more feeding grounds they have. So they have to keep grouping you with other people who have lower dampened fields, who have already spirits inside of them feeding off of them, so that they bring you together. It's not just one they get to suck off of, it's a cluster.
Got it.
So it becomes, so the more they can agitate you into fight, the more they can get you to argue, the more they can get you to war with yourself and with the other person and bicker and complain and do all that, they just create more darkness for them to feed off. Remember, spirits can't feed off of your light. They need to dampen it first.
Okay. That's something to chew on. Because I've always wondered, how does like a person who is, like we say, low vibe, like continue to thrive? It's that they have to attach themselves to someone who's on like a higher level
and suck their energy out of them.
Here we go.
So when you talk about energy vampires, have you ever heard of that saying?
Yep.
So I always make a joke because people are like, oh yeah, energy vampires. And I'm like, yeah, stop acting like you have a problem with energy vampires when in fact, you're the one who opened the door, cut your wrist and was like, here you go.
Hey, you want a sack here? I have a ton for you.
Yeah, but then complain about it afterwards, right? It's because you've already created your body to be a vessel for that.
Yeah.
Spiritually.
Yeah.
So that's why you're attracting it physically. If it was, nothing can show up in your life physically if you haven't brought it in on a spiritual level through your mental and emotional body.
Yeah. I've never ever thought of, like, I'm not someone who like likes to do weed or do weed. Wow, I sounded like I'm from 1965. I don't like to do weed, kids. I'm not
reefer. You for a reefer.
I don't reefer. I don't like reefer, kids. I'm like totally open to it and like, yay, California legalized it. Great for you. And I see the benefit in it, but at the same time, I've never ever thought about how psychedelics or mind-altering drugs are not necessarily beneficial. Like, you would think that because your mind is opening that there's some positive to it, but it's actually
it's a synthetic experience.
So it's like McDonald's, a cheap high.
Yeah, it's a Jiffy Lube.
Gotcha.
You know, it's a let me get the quick fix.
Some things should not ever be Jiffy Lubed, and it's your spirituality.
Yeah, your spirit has become you're like your spiritual path is the Jiffy Lube. You want the quick fix, but here's the downfall of it. You rely upon something outside of you to give you your power. Therefore, you don't believe it in yourself.
Okay.
The more you do it, the more you stop believing yourself. The more you do it, the more you stop believing yourself. And before you know it, you're completely not believing in yourself.
It's like, I have anxiety, so I need to smoke, or I need to drink, or I need this.
Instead of saying, I'm going to deal with the anxiety and look at what is the emotional things that I'm doing in my life that's causing me to have this overload. It could be the environment that you're in. It could be the fact that you keep saying yes to friends when you don't really want to say yes to friends. It could be you keep taking on everyone's problems and it has nothing to do with you because you're nosy, right? It could be that you're in your office and you're all up in everyone's business and you need to be doing your work. You understand? You know, it could be...
These are incredible. Do you know a couple people with these issues?
Oh, I mean, I work with all kinds of people all over the world. You should be surprised when they come in with their anxiety attacks, what I tell them. Some anxiety comes, some anxieties just come in from the fact that people their home is not the right environment for them. And so it's actually considered a violation to their spirit. So the way if they have too much clutter in their home, that can create anxiety.
All of those things.
All of it.
Like, yes,
or the fact that, they want to eat at their favorite restaurant and their restaurant closed down. That could create anxiety because they have what we call entitlement. Entitlement creates anxiety, right?
Ooh, that is a good one. Speaking right to my generation. Entitlement creates anxiety, and we were probably the most anxious and depressed generation. I wonder why.
Well, you know why?
No shade, no tea.
You're talking about the millennials,
yes,
right?
The millennials.
Well, because millennials come in with a stronger data input processor. So they process information so quickly, but what happens is because of all of the parents and the ones before created such a mess in as far as the data streams that are floating around the planet of all the major calamities and issues and economic issues and all this kind of stuff. Millennials go to take the information and start weeding through all the things that are necessary and getting rid of all the things that are not. But when they realize it doesn't stop, and that there's so much stuff to take on,
I'm so tired.
they're like, oh, I'm done.
I'm so
This is
exhausted.
too much. I need to go to a party. I need to go burn some steam. You know, I just need to go shopping. Who's hot on television right now? Like everything to divert yourself away from this power you have.
Yeah.
So millennials have to learn how to really be able to, one, get out of the old thinking that parents left, which is the idea that you have to go to school, go to college, get a degree, and get a job and make money, have a family and whatever. It's not going to work for you.
Yeah.
And this whole idea of like relationship, this is monogamous relationship and I'm with this person and this is how it is and we got to build a family, get married and da-da-da. It's not going to be that way for millennials. Millennials have to realize that the only way you're going to really succeed is by getting to know yourself. That's why it's important, right?
Yeah.
Getting to know yourself, because then you can build yourself as a brand.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to do it by going to college and getting a job anymore, because it's not the same time frame. We're in a time right now, the age of narcissism, right? In the age of narcissism right now, it's all about me, 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 right? And so now we're moving out of narcissism into the age of community, which is going into the we. So we're still stuck between me, 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 and we.
Yeah.
So for a millennial, you have to go into the place of using this narcissistic world to learn more about yourself.
Use this, like yin and yang, like they're so different.
Well, you just tap in. Like, look at when you go on Facebook and you're like, why am I liking this picture?
Yeah.
I'm not liking it because my friend thinks I should like it. It's just like, why do I like it? Do I really like this picture?
I honestly do that, and for a moment I was like, I'm crazy. I'm seriously having a discussion about why I like that, and I will go and unlike it, or I'll just like, I will literally judge like, why am I liking this photo?
Right. Am I liking it because that person's a celebrity? So I'm just gonna like every single picture they post? So is a celebrity sitting on the toilet, I'm gonna like it? I don't think so, you know? But like this, that's where you get into like the real, right? That's when you get people, every time I see millennials send me like 100, you know, they'll be like, I'll do 100, you know? I'm like, okay, well, 100 means authenticity, which means like, it's not about what's on fleek. It's not about what's on trend. It's about you being a tastemaker, a trend maker, an edge maker. You have to break away from the rat race of followers and go into what actually works for your evolution.
Yeah.
And that's when you create a whole new system.
Yeah, jumping out of the matrix. So how do you think we can shift from this narcissistic world into community? How do you see us as millennials doing this?
I think that if millennials want to shift into a space of community, they have to see their leadership abilities. They have to see like what is their strong suits and what they can actually bring to the planet. A lot of times millennials get stressed and out of sorts because they don't know who they are and what they can bring. So they're just kind of like, I call them floating millennials, right? They're like a bunch of balloons floating around, right? They just float from one event to the next party, to the next cool thing, to the next whatever. It's like a balloon cluster, you know?
This is way too real.
You know, but the thing is like, if you want to, you know, get to the seriousness of it all, it's about you getting to know yourself so that you can understand what you can contribute. Because the biggest downfall for millennials is the overload and repression of emotion, which is, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know what to do with this. I don't even know what's going on right now. You know what are we gonna do tonight? We're gonna party? Okay, that sounds good for me. Because why? Because you're overloaded. Because why are you overloaded? Because you do want to make a change. You do want to have a voice. You do want to make some kind of dent in life, but you can't make it if you don't know yourself. And you're put in a system that is now not about knowing yourself unless you choose to really like use the system for your benefit, not let the system use you for its benefit.
Drop the mic with that. Oh, so good. Okay, so you work with a lot of high-profile people, celebrities, all of that jazz, and we know that celebrities are no different from the rest of us. They all poop. They all stink. We all gonna die as well.
I agree with that 100%.
But what are some of the things that you see high-powered people getting hung up on? Because I know that as millennials, we glorify these people. Anybody glorifies anyone who's in the public. What are the things that you see high-powered people getting hung up on, so that can kind of like give us?
Are you saying like what do a lot of my celebrity clients or people who work with me?
Yeah, what's the thing that gets them hooked that we would be shocked by?
So what do they get hooked on?
Yeah.
So they get hooked on being a good person, or doing the right thing, not making a mistake, being perfect, keeping their fans happy, meeting the idea of what they think people want. They have the same issues that everyone has. The only difference is they're on blast.
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, I'm going through relationship issues. I have insecurity. I feel ugly. I don't feel this. I don't feel that. And then I have the same thing happening to a woman who's in the Midwest who's telling me the same thing, but she's not a celebrity. The only difference is her life isn't put on blast.
Exactly.
The celebrity's life is put on blast. So she's dealing with that same emotion, but it's on blast.
Yeah.
So now she's like, oh my God, everyone's gonna know about these people, and she's in vulnerable state. So, or he's in a vulnerable state, you know? And so the other thing for them is they don't really know what to do with their money and their power.
This is kind of what I was leading to, because I feel like the Midwest person, she thinks or he thinks that most of their problems are because they aren't at the position of the celebrity or high power person.
Right.
But what does the person who has that all, what are they thinking to do? Either are they stressed out that they have it all and don't know what to do with it, or they feel that they don't deserve it? Like, what are...
It's both. I mean, I have some celebrity clients who feel like they don't deserve it, and all they do is they keep bringing people in their home and throwing away their money. Then I have celebrity clients who are so successful, but they feel like they don't have time and they have no real friends, you know, because everybody's kissing their ass and telling them yes. And then I come in and I'm like, no. And they're like, okay, that's why we're friends. Because, you know, they're tired of like the yes person, you know, they don't want a yes girl and a yes man. They want someone who tells them like straight up, you know. And then I have the ones who are just like overloaded by constantly trying to keep up with their fans, with their this, with their that they're just draining themselves completely, which allows them to go to drugs and alcohol and crazy things that they do, and they have rages, and then they do that in public, and then they're like, oh my God, I feel bad about that. But the thing is, all in all, what they really want is they want to be able to find something that makes a difference in the world, right? And being able to make it authentic for them, without their team or the people around them who tell them what to do, like having a problem with it. I remember once I was with Ellen, and I was just doing a neck and shoulder massage, just doing some healing on her. And like her team members were like, what is he gonna do? Is he gonna give you a happy ending? And I'm just like, you are saying this, why? Because you're uncomfortable because I'm touching Ellen? You know, it's like, it's a weirdness that they have. And then the other thing too is that a lot of my celebrity friends who are my close friends, what they have issues with the most, which they have to work through, is they just want to be able to have people be in their lives because of them, not because of what they do.
Who they are, not what they do.
Yeah, they're like, this is what I do. It's like my job, but outside of my job, I come home and I have kids and I get worries and I have issues and I have the plumber's piping broken and I'm putting pants on and getting dirty. You know, like all this stuff is coming up for them, and they just want someone to be there and be like, hey, it's all good. Like, I don't expect anything from you. I don't need anything from you. I'm just here to hold you down, hold love for you, and allow you to be a childlike self. I remember Pamela Anderson, we used to come over and we used to act like little kids and like do cartwheels on the grass and stuff, and like, you know, and have fun. And she was like, I love coming here. And then she brings her mom over. It's like, I love coming over because I feel like I'm free with you, you know? And that's all they want. They just want to be free and not feel like, oh God, this is how people see me. Oh, they see me like my character. Oh, they see me like this, the press, the way I look in the press, or the way the press is building me. Like, they all call the press the monster, you know, because they're like, don't listen to the monster, Durek. If you ever want to know something, ask me directly. Do not read it in the paper. Do not ever ask me, is it true that this, and that? Because we're friends and I'm going to tell you straight up. But the monster paints them to look a certain way. So some of them start acting that way because they feel like they have to. And then some of them are going into like these deep emotional concerns because they're like, that's not who I am, but how can I show who I am? Because everyone already made up their mind of who I am. So they just stay locked in their house and order food out, watch movies, and have people come over and never walk out. When they go out the door, they know, oh God, paparazzi's gonna be in my face. Gotta deal with it.
The script is already written for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, it's intense. It's funny how we think that we want to have it all, and once we have it all, the only thing we care about is how can I make a difference. Well,
you're working also a lot too. Like what I've learned even too, just about being a shaman, when I was just a shaman where I didn't let anyone write press about me or do anything, I had a lot of time on my hands to just like be and like not have people constantly bombarding me and whatever. But the moment I let someone write press on me, and the moment I was on e-television, and the moment all these things started blowing up for me, it was like my phone rings off the hook. I get like 500 emails. I got this person over here. You're gonna meet this person, this dinner, this opening, this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing.
Once you jump off that cliff, it's...
And you're just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, and then you actually have to step back and go, I want a break.
Yeah.
And my last break I went to the jungle to just take a week off and just go be in the jungle by myself. But like, even then you get there and you're like, it's not enough time. And then you have your publicist calling, then you have your manager calling, then you have everyone calling. Okay, when are you coming back? You have a shoot coming up. Oh, you have this thing, or they wanted you to talk about, stuff about, anxiety or this or that or whatever. Or, it's like, it's nonstop. Like even this morning, I wake up in the morning and it's like, list of things to do.
Yeah. How do you balance both of these worlds?
I play video games.
Is that it?
I have PlayStation 4.
You go to virtual reality?
I play smart video games. I play video games that are like spiritually bound. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
I like that.
And I like to sing and dance around the house. I watch Disney. I watch cartoons sometimes before I get up in the morning, or when I get up in the morning or I go to bed. I also do a lot of things like I go to nature, I go to Disneyland, I go racing, trampoline. I have action figures, so I bust out my house and I put like forts, and my buddies come over and we play with action figures or remote control cars. I keep my kid alive. I have a Peter Pan complex.
I like that.
Yeah, because I feel like the moment you give that up because you're told, quote unquote, to be an adult is the moment you lose the core of who you are.
Yeah.
That's why I knew Michael Jackson was going out.
I'm literally going to mention Michael Jackson right now.
I know, I heard it in your thoughts, so that's why I figured I'm
the
going
Chris Rock special? Chris Rock did a special, and he brought up Michael Jackson. He was like, none of those allegations about Michael Jackson was true. He was just trying to impress the kids, because he was a kid himself. Like, look at the roller coaster, kids. Look at this, look at that. So,
well, he was a kid.
Yeah,
exactly.
He was a kid.
As soon as he let the London news get into his private life and show the toys he plays with and the stuffed animals he hugs at night and all that, I was like, he's leaving. He's not going to be here much longer, because he didn't have the spiritual strength to be able to let people into that vulnerable place with him. Right? Whereas with me, I just let it go. I let people know. People come to my house, are like, whose toys are those? Do you have a kid? I'm like, no, those are mine.
Nope.
Why is there like an army soldier hanging from the ceiling with a parachute?
I was playing earlier.
They're like, did your nephew or something come over? I was like, nope, that was me.
No, that's definitely me. I'm pretty sure I played with Barbies up until I was like 14 years old, and I still will play with toys.
Oh yeah, I love it. I was with my friend in New York, and we were doing this. There's this cool little device that we saw that we had to buy. It was called Bop It. And all night, me and my friends just played Bop It. We're like, bop it, twist it,
pull it,
comb it, I was just like nonstop.
Is that the new
one? Yeah, they have a comb it and a whip it and a stir it.
Is it like the nay one too?
Yeah.
Nay and dab it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that makes me happy. And I don't usually choose friends in my life who I can't be playful with. Like even some of my celebrity friends, like, people are always like, oh, what do you guys do when you hang out? I'm like, we're playing video games.
I'm trying to play board games.
We're playing board games. We're like playing characters and dressing up and acting crazy around the house. Like, because it's just people, It's not a matter if you're a celebrity or if you're whatever. It's just about being free.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
That's what keeps me in balance. And then on top of that, what is the other balance? I meditate, of course. I do soul talk, and I word myself up. You know what word up is?
Is that like pep talk?
So word up is like, you talk to yourself. Like I word up everyone around my life. Like when I see people, I word people up.
Gas me up.
Yeah, it's just like, I'm beautiful. I love when I walk in the room. I bring so much light when I walk in the room. I feel so good inside of myself. I love how wonderful I feel when I'm around people and how I just want to nurture them.
Yeah.
Like you just, you tell yourself, I love how every time I go out, I bring opportunity to me. I love, like you just keep wording yourself up. And then what I do every morning is I'll get on my Instagram and I word up my tribe, I'll word up people. And it changes the way you're perceived.
Khaled, you are blessed, you are great.
Yeah. That's what he does, which I just found out about because I just watched this movie. I think it was called Pitch 3 or something like that.
Oh, you missed the whole DJ Khaled Snapchat era with his keys.
No.
Major key, and he would just like every day he would like word up people, and usually from his shower.
Oh, that's great. I didn't even,
yeah, it was a whole thing.
I didn't know about DJ Khaled because I was chosen as a wellness ambassador for Mind Body Green, and he was actually chosen as one too. And it was like, and I was chosen with Serena Williams. It was all these people, and I didn't even know who this guy is. See, the thing is, I don't watch TV, so I have no idea some of these people are. I'm just like, yeah, whatever, okay, whoever you are.
Wow, Shaman Durek and We the Best, DJ Khaled.
That's DJ Khaled. We the Best. Okay, that's great. Okay.
The Rihanna song, Wild Thoughts. That's DJ Khaled.
Oh, Wild Thoughts.
Yeah, it's DJ Khaled's song, but actually he's just the producer.
Is that what he says when he screams his name in it?
Yeah, We the Best.
Oh, okay. That's so interesting. Yeah, well, maybe I'll meet the guy.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so what advice do you have for millennials when it comes to incorporating some shamanism into their lives? Obviously, they cannot be Shaman Durek, but we can take on some of the beauty and greatness that you are and incorporate it into our lives.
All right, let's do an exercise. I'll show you a little exercise. Okay, so pull up a beautiful thought in your mind about yourself.
Oh, about me. I was thinking of a place. Okay.
You're like Paris.
I was thinking of Santa Barbara, actually.
Nice.
Okay.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now say, I want more.
I want more.
And what happened when you asked for more?
I felt like I just wanted to laugh.
So what happens in the consciousness, right? So you have conscious streams. You have two conscious streams. You have a conscious stream called the light, and you have a conscious stream called the dark. When people hear negative things in their head, they entertain it by listening instead of saying, like when someone would call you on the phone and like crank call you and say, or prank call you, I think it's called prank call, I don't know what it is.
I think it's both.
Prank call, whatever. When they would do that and start telling you nasty things about yourself, you're gonna hang up.
Like, oh my God, maybe it's true though.
But people listen.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of just hanging up.
Tell me another terrible thing and another one.
Right.
Really? Yeah.
So when you hear any negative thought in your head, the first thing you're supposed to do is be like, thanks, but no thanks, I'm not interested. Okay, thank you. Go to someone else's house who's interested, you know, but I'm not into it, right? And so it's just hang up the phone. But the thing is, when you get a positive thought in your head, you should ask for more. So go ahead, pull a positive thought in your mind.
Okay. Okay.
Ask for more. Say, tell me more.
Tell me more. You're incredible. You're smart. You're brilliant.
But do you see how it's coming in like that? It's just like, it's like vroom,
I'm
vroom.
having that help moment when the nanny is talking to the little baby. You is important.
Oh, I love it.
Special.
That's my favorite movie.
Yep.
The Help. I love it. You is important. You is kind.
It is doing that inner
You
work
is
for yourself.
beautiful. You is smart. I love that movie. It's one of my favorite
That's
movies.
what this activity feels like.
Yeah, well, what it is that the thing is, what millennials don't realize is that they get so much negative because most millennials are very empathic. So they have already picking up on negative inputs that are taking place in the world. So for them to focus on the positive energy that's showing up inside of them and then ask for more of it. So like if they have an amazing day that happens, say, I want more days like this.
Yeah.
When they're going into a situation, because in shamanism, what we call it is putting your attention on the power that you want to bring in. So like, where's your devotion, right? So we always say like, in shamanism, we say, like, where's your devotion? Are you devoted to ancestors? Are you devoted to being complaining? Are you devoted to worry? Are you devoted to looking at the beautiful things in yourself? Are you devoted to finding the beautiful things in life? Are you devoted to finding the horrible things in life?
Yeah.
So most people don't realize that, like, I have this one guy who's a big Wall Street exec, and he says to me, he goes, you know, I go, I'm gonna teach you how to meditate. And he goes, okay. And I said, what do you see when you meditate? He goes, dollar signs. I go, great.
Wow, that's a vision.
I go, great.
Dollar bills. Yeah.
I go, great, because that's the reason why you have a lot of money in life, because your devotion is to money. So you keep seeing more dollar signs.
Wow.
So his whole attention is money, 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 and that's why he has it. Right? And so if you're what you're putting your energy to, that's what you're saying to your spirit, I want this.
Yeah.
So that's something as well too. And then going into another thing for millennials is to be able to separate yourself from the distractions that are taking place. Just take a moment away from it and ask yourself the question, which is, what would I feel like changing in this world that I don't like? And then realize that because you can think that, you have the ability to do it. Yeah. Now ask yourself, what kind of medium would I like to use to change it?
This is what Dr. Terai Trek calls tapping into the great hunger. You ask yourself what breaks your heart, and whatever that is.
Yeah, so that's in shamanism as well too.
Yeah.
So in shamanism we call it understanding your seed. We call it, okay, that makes sense. Because in African shamanism we call it, you know, acknowledging the seed, right? And so if you see the pain and the suffering, like Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, all of the great leaders didn't lead because they were like happy.
Yeah.
They led because they were in pain, and the more they led, it eased the pain. Like I'm Shaman Durek, and I'm not like, oh yeah, you know. I went through so much suffering and pain in my life, and I saw so much suffering and pain in humanity. So I literally extracted from all of that the ability to serve people makes me even happier to heal all that suffering and pain.
Yeah.
So I get joy from being of service.
Yeah. I love it. We totally skipped over this, but I guess we have to do like the abbreviated version of what your journey has been like, because I feel like as the millennials, we're always seeking for authenticity and for someone to not be high of like, I'm your guru, but be like, I went through this as well. So everyone's journey is not straight and narrow. If it is, let me know how you had an amazing, incredible life from day one. So what was your journey like from starting as a little baby shaman? What was like the in-between murky water like to where you are today?
So I've had a pretty intense journey. I grew up in a very abused family. Abuse was very strong in my family. My father was abused in his childhood by his family because, you know, they have this belief that you have to beat your kids in order to keep them strong and, you know, whatever their belief is. But for me, it didn't work because I was a sensitive kid, you know. I was a kid that if you raised your voice too loud, I started crying, you know. So being beaten every single day or kicked or punched or any of these things wasn't the best feeling, you know. And then also I was also molested as a kid. So I went through that. I went into drugs, I went into alcoholism. Even while I was doing my training as a shaman, you know, my teachings was always like, we're not to judge yourself, but, you know, experience what you're going through. Like look at why you're taking this medicine. Why are you doing cocaine? Why are you drinking? Why are you doing these things? Not from you're a bad person, but more of what is this medicine used for? You know, and it really helped me a lot in that process. And I think one of my turnaround points is when I took my rites of passage. It was a very big journey for me, which is when I actually died physically. And I knew that it was going to happen before because I was told by all these other shamans and tribes and all these mystics and all these people around the world that I was doing work with that, you know, you're here to be a spirit shaman and exude certain powers. In order to do so, you're going to have to like die to the old self and come back as something new if you choose to come back. And I always thought this like, you know, I'm just going to die and it's going to be like this kind of like hypothetical, like spiritual death of the mind and something like that. But no, it was really death. And
last night I died on the dance floor.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was like really death. I got back from the jungle and I was working with the medicine woman in the jungle. I got back and she had told me before when she's like, when you head back to LA, you're going to die a very painful and horrible death. Got back within like a week. Within the end of that week, I woke up and there was a spirit in front of me and it's like, are you ready? And I was like, I'm ready. I'm scared, but I'm ready. And it's like, okay. And it just reached into my body and I fell down on the floor, started crawling on the floor, got a phone, called my friend Marcus. My friend Marcus came over, got me in his truck. I had a seizure. I smashed into his dashboard, had another seizure, lost consciousness. I woke up in the ambulance. They're like, you had 7 rolling seizures. We're rushing you to the hospital. They're like, I go, what is all this padding for? They're like, that's so that when you have another seizure, you don't hurt yourself. Got to the hospital, put me on a stretcher. My friend Marcus was there. And all of a sudden the room turned to pure white golden light and got liquidy. And this woman started talking to me and telling me I was going to die and not to fight so that the pain doesn't become so unbearable. Of course, I'm a Scorpio, so I'm a fighter naturally.
Like, oh, really? Then I will go against that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, well, I'm going to hold on, you know. But at the time, I wasn't even thinking about it. And then my friend Marcus was like, where were you? You were kind of dazed. And I was like, you know, I'm going to die. And he's like, no, you're not. I'm going to get a doctor. I'm like, don't leave me. I don't want to die alone. And then within like, I would say maybe 3 minutes, I felt like my whole body seizing up. I felt knives stabbing me everywhere. I felt like my lungs were being ripped out of my chest. I could feel when my lungs got ripped out of my chest because my lungs had collapsed, couldn't get oxygen in.
Wow.
Marcus started screaming.
Out of water.
Yeah. So like, you know, when you can't breathe, you feel this pressure, you know, and then your body starts going into shock because it can't get any air in. And so my whole body just started flailing. And then the pain was even worse then. And then my eyes started bulging out. And then the doctors came and they put a hole and they still couldn't get oxygen into my body. And then I just kept hearing this voice say, let go, child, let go, let go. It's okay. You don't have to suffer anymore. Let go, let go, let go. And then finally the pain became so unbearable. I let go. And the whole room, it was like water took me out of my body. I was inside this water. It was it was like being at the bottom of a pool and looking up and seeing like the light above the water. And then I could hear everyone's voices. I could see everything going on in the hospital. I could hear everyone's thoughts and see what everyone was going through. And then my grandmother was there and my aunt was there and they came to me and they told me that I died. And they told me that I had to go through this next journey and everyone has to go through this journey and I'm not alone, even though it may feel like I'm alone, but I'm not alone. And all of a sudden I was in this black ocean being swished around and like these lights came in, these colored lights. And all of a sudden I realized I was inside of a womb and I could see like lights. It was like inside with like amoeba and this stuff. And then I saw myself standing outside of it and I was watching my mom give birth to me.
Wow.
And I was experiencing it and also watching it.
That's crazy.
And then it went through every segment of my life until the point of my death. And then it was like this kind of like choice came over me of like, can I love it and let go of it? It's okay. It was a beautiful life, like it's okay. And the moment I consciously like experienced that, it all just started disappearing, and I was going into this liquid again. And then this bright light came, and I remember going like, this is God. And I could hear my thoughts, you know? And all of a sudden I went into this light. It got brighter and warmer and warmer and warmer. And I could see all these other beings going through it as well too. Like they look like transparent in a way. I could hear their connecting thoughts with me. And then I woke up and I was like, I want to say I woke up or I like was on a beach. And I could see other beings on this beach. And this woman kind of not walked with legs, but like floated over to me and said to me, what kind of body would you like to have? And I said, I want the body that I had before. And all of a sudden my hands appeared and I could like feel it, but I didn't feel bones. And I remember it felt so good every time I touched myself, every time I like looked up at something.
To be in a body again.
No, it felt good, like the best blanket you've ever had, the best conversation you ever had, the best, anything you could imagine that was the best of the best, all rolled up in one and then multiplied by 1,000,000.
Wow.
It was like warm, radiant love.
Wow.
And like, I remember touching the sand and feeling it to see if it was like sand, and it was like the best feeling ever. She basically had told me, she goes, I know you have a lot of questions. And I was like, I do have a lot of questions. And she's like, it's okay. She's like, I can answer those questions for you. And I just went off. I was like, I said to her, and we were talking telepathically, but I was saying like, why is there war? Why is there suffering? Why is there death? Why do people hurt? Why do people go through pain? Why is this? Why is that? And all she kept saying was malfunction in thinking. She said, all human suffering comes from malfunction in thinking. And I wasn't debating it. I was just like, yes, you're right. And then she was like, do you want to see other people? And I was like, sure. And then she goes, would you like to see family members or friends? Or do you want to, you know, spend some time to get to, you know, to be comfortable here? Or would you like to go to a community area? And I said, I want to go to a community area. And we kind of just floated. And it was like these rivers and beautiful lakes and mountains. And it was just like something I've never seen before. I can even, when I look at mountains here on Earth, it doesn't even describe the beauty and the color and the feeling that you see when you see everything there. We went to this one community area and there were all these like lights moving around and these like look like orbs or something. I was like, what is that? And she's like, that's everyone's consciousness communicating to create the most amazing place for everyone that everyone would enjoy together. And literally,
I mean,
it was the most beautiful experience, like the beautiful gardens. People were walking, some people weren't walking. There was no cars, I didn't see any cars, but there were buildings. And, you know, people were in a park, and I started talking to this little girl. She had told me she died in a war on Earth, but she never got a chance to, you know, to enjoy her childhood. So she chose to be a child while she was there. And she's like, you can change yourself anytime you want. If you don't want to be this way, you can look any way you want to look. And like, you can even be a sound wave if you want to. And so then after I did that, I went to visit my family. I went to go visit friends of mine who died that I missed. I went in, and then when I went to visit my friends, what was the most interesting thing about it was that I went into their world. And I was like, what is this place? And they're like, this is all mine. And I go, this whole thing is yours. And they're like, yes. They're like, there's limitless space here. You get to create whatever you want here. And then I looked and saw all the multiple parts of me who I am, that I exist in other parts of the universe. Yeah. And I could watch their lives and communicate to them. So that was really nice. I was having the best time. And then the woman came and said to me, you know, you're welcome to stay. You don't have to go back. Like, there are no rules, you know? And I was like, I feel like I need to go back. And she's like, okay, then you will go back. And she took me, everyone, like, they walked me to the water. My friends, my family was there. And I went into the water, and all of a sudden I was flying through space like a stargate. Like, I see all these planets that I've never seen before. And then I stopped in front of the earth, and it was like this big globe. And I remember seeing all these other beings who were also going back. And then we just started flying towards the earth. All of a sudden I was in my body, and I could tell that it was a different situation because I felt heavy and dirty and disgusting. I remember my skin felt like things were crawling on me that I never really noticed before. Yeah. I noticed the bones and what it feels like to be different from when you don't have bones, and that you don't have these hot and cold sensations there. And I couldn't see. And I remember hearing this voice say, okay, plug him back in. And then all of a sudden I heard these like high pitched sounds that were like,
You're describing how I feel all the time, honestly.
It was so intense.
I was like, tell me more. I feel like that all the time. I feel the weight of my existence all the time.
Yeah, it was very intense. And then I remember my eyes were able to see, and I could see like the blurry image of the doctor and them like putting this, they're invading me with this tube down my throat. And the doctor was I was trying to pull the tube out, but I couldn't move my legs. I was trying to, and the doctor was like, "You're paralyzed." And I was like freaking out, and he came closer to me, and I just kept trying to hit him and grab his chest, and I couldn't like grab hold of anything. So they like induced me in a coma for 2 months at the Hollywood Presbyterian. I was in hand restraints. That's why I have this mark right here, because I was like trying to get out of it for so long that I got this mark, which was always a reminder of that experience for me. And I came, and they were like, "You're paralyzed, you have brain damage, and you've already died 3 times since that, and we don't know if you're gonna make it, and your liver is failing, your kidneys are failed, your whole system is shutting down, and
But your brain was fully functioning even when they were saying that you have brain damage.
I had brain damage, but I could hear them, but I couldn't do anything.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
And so my hands were doing this the whole time, like this. Mm-hmm. And it just didn't stop, My sister was there, and people were there. And I remember the doctor talking to my dad, and my dad's like, "Okay, well, I guess I have to get a casket." And I remember my sister coming in with my friend Melanie, and said, "Dad, how dare you? Durek is a shaman. This is a part of his rites of passage. You know that. Why are you trying to buy into this world?
Yeah.
Like, you know why he had to go through this. Like, he's going to help change the world. Like, you cannot, give up on him." And my dad's like, I could hear everything was going on. I remember the doctor coming in and looking with a specialist team, and I remember having blood clots. I remember they had put these signs up like, "Don't touch him, don't," because of all the blood clots in my body. My legs were like this big, my hands were big. Wow. I had edema everywhere. I was on dialysis, my kidneys were failed, my liver was failed, not completely, but failing, and all these different things. And then finally, this woman came into the room, the one from the other side, and she said to me, "Everything you're experiencing right now is you can overcome, but you have to listen to me, and I'm going to walk you through each step of it." And then there was this other voice that came in, and it was this dark being, and it said, "Why do you want to stay here? Why don't you just go home? Why don't you leave? The people are fine. They don't need you. No one wants you here anyway. They're scared of you." And it was like this kind of like, and every time they would talk, the woman would say to me, "Don't listen to that voice, because that voice will cause you to leave your body. Listen to mine." And she helped me, coach me back to breathing, healing my brain damage. I didn't heal the legs yet from paralyzed. I was in a wheelchair for like a year and a half, but on dialysis for 8 years. I asked her why I couldn't heal my kidneys. She told me because it wasn't meant for me to heal my kidneys. For me, there was a part of me that didn't want to be on earth, and I needed to be given an offering of experience, of love. And so my sister, after 8 years, this spirit came to her and told her to give me a kidney. And so I had a kidney transplant. And then the doctor was like, "It's going to be impossible for you to recover. Your body's too weak," and this and that and the other. And I recovered within 2 months.
Wow.
And healed myself out of a wheelchair after a year and a half. No one believed I was going to walk again, and I healed my legs, and I just figured it all. I figured it out. The spirit just kept telling me, "This is what you need to do to heal your body. This is what you need to do. This is how you need to think. This is what you need to say." Now that I finished my rites of passage, I'm a full-fledged shaman, and now I need to go into the world and help people to see their power and put the power back into people's hands. And I honestly believe I came back for 2 people: me, because I want more experiences on this amazing planet, and for the people.
That is a hardcore story. Wow, that is such an experience. Whew. So after you've experienced all that and all you've experienced in more recent years as Shaman Durek, what is your version of a well damn good life?
A well damn good life to me is creating a lifestyle that supports you and your evolution for having more joy and harmony and peace in your life. That means don't compromise. That means stop people pleasing. That means that you have a no drama zone. You have a policy where you decide that you're not gonna put up with victim energy. You're going to live a life where you're living truthfully, even if you think it's going to hurt another person, right? And so to me, well damn is well damn, that's how I'm gonna live my life. So whatever, I'm gonna live golden. Yeah. You don't have to, that's your choice. But I'm not gonna make myself go down because you choose to be down. Yeah. And if I'm gonna tell myself that I can do anything, and if you choose to tell yourself that you can't, or if you don't believe in me, I don't care, because I don't need your validation. I'm gonna give myself validation. Mm-hmm. So a well damn, for me, life is someone who is constantly filling their vessel and accepting all the goodness that life has to offer them without having to compromise who they are. Like if you're in a relationship and you feel like you have to change yourself for the other person, that's not your relationship. And if you're at a job and you keep looking at the clock and wondering when you're gonna go home, that's not your job. So stop playing, right? Just keep,
Stop playing.
Just stop playing. Just straight be real about it.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to think, oh, does this person love me? Obviously you have to ask that. Goodbye.
Yeah.
It's like if you feel like you're like, oh, I don't like this job, I don't know that. Stop complaining about it. Just change it. Like live the life you want to live. And to me, that is living a well damn life.
I love that. And we're going to end this interview with a big old hug. But I wanted to touch on Shaman Durek's hugs. They are the most incredible, juicy, long, and for some, very uncomfortable experiences.
I have to do ninja hugs, you know?
Yeah, you're like, oh, no, you're not letting go.
Because they try to give the handshake, and I do like a
whoosh.
move. I whoosh them. Yeah.
Why are they so important to you, and why do you think they're important in this day and age specifically when we're so digital and so connected but disconnected?
Well, I don't shake people's hands because I think it's nasty, right?
I don't know where your hand's been.
Yeah, I don't want to know. Let's keep it to yourself. But I don't shake people's hands for the purpose of the whole handshake in itself is actually an old movement that represents closing a contract. So whenever you close a contract, you do 2 shakes, doof, doof, And to me, that's like, I'm not making contracts with you.
Yeah.
I'm making connection, right? And so for me, to shake your hand shows to me just disrespect on every level.
Yeah.
For me to hug you and to be able to hold you in my arms, you could be gone tomorrow, but at least I know I gave that hug to you. I'm gonna hug you and embrace you, rub your back, maybe even hum a song in your ear, maybe do some omen on you while I'm hugging you. While I'm hugging you, I might even say some blessing into you. Be like, you're powerful, you're amazing, you're this, you're that, you're super, like you're just,
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna hug you with that in my mind and really realize that I'm hugging myself by coming at you in that way. Because if we are all one, right? Like if we talk about Bob Marley, one love, right? If we are all one, isn't the way I hug you the way I'm hugging myself? And isn't the way that I kiss you the way I kiss myself? And isn't the way that I treat you the way I treat myself?
Yeah.
So why would I want to give myself some kind of like colloquial pat hug and some handshake just because I'm scared to make a connection?
Or allot it just for X amount of people. Like you have to get to this level to have all of me, to have all of my authenticity.
Yeah, I'm not into that. I love people right off. You exist, I love you. And so for me, I feel like why it's important this day and age is because we have become a society of people who become separate and alienated from one another through technology, through the way we interact within our social systems and the way that we deal with all the social calamities. People have put up a lot of fear guards, a lot of fear of opening himself up and being vulnerable. And I feel like for me, like I need to break that wall down, and hugging it out for me.
It's like the bulldozer.
It's just like, it's just straight. It's just real. It's like straight. Like you have nothing like, I don't care who you are. I don't care like where you are. I'm gonna hug you. Like I meet people who are like these businessmen and they're like put their hands out and I go to them a hug and they're like, and if they don't like the hug, I'm gonna hug you even longer because we're gonna break that, right? Yeah. My body and my heart connected to you before I even got to you.
Yeah.
And that's truth.
I love that. And now we have to hug, but I have to stand up because I'm not trying to flash this camera. Thank you so much for being on this podcast. Seriously. Ooh, that was so good. My day has been transformed. Thank you for
10 hugs a day like opens your energy up. 20 hugs a day allows your energy to be powerful and you can manifest anything. 30 hugs a day and you are literally on cloud 9 and you're able to manifest anything you want in your life and all of your cells in your body are vibrating.
I mean, I feel like if it's a good day if I see one person in a day. So I gotta up my ante.
Up that hugs.
I gotta go out, walk into the streets, and just be like, "Hi,
hug everybody. Just hug it out.
Hi, barista."
There
just hug
go.
everybody.
There you
Okay,
go.
this is the Well Damn Challenge, is to try to get up to 30 hugs a day. If anyone does succeed, let us know because I want to meet you and I want to hug you. That's incredible.
I want to hug you anyway because I love you.
Regardless, thank you guys for tuning in. This is The Real Shaman Durek. I'm Morgan Lynzi. Well Damn Podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.